Okay guys, welcome back. This is your old pal Hondo doing another video for you guys on string trimmer line. So guys, if you're new to string trimmers and you don't know what's good for string trimmer line, I'm going to give you my own opinion about stuff I've used or I've used in the past or I've recently bought this year um, from string trimmer line. Now the first string trimmer line you guys are seeing right here is from my worst to very best string trimmer lines that I think are the best string trimmer lines out on the market. Now the first one you guys see in front of you is an exclusive sell over at Royal King. This is what they sell at Royal King. I bought some of this stuff at Royal King, like a 40-foot donut of this stuff. It's nylon, octagon shaped. It does have sharp edges. It's not really one of my favorite lines. That's why it's going to be on the worst of the lines that I've ever used or bought out on the market. Here recently I bought this stuff because I thought, you know, hey, it's a cheap line. It might work really well. One thing I did have an issue with this line was that when I was trying to put it on my Husqvarna Rapid Replace head, auto, feeding head, or speed feed head type of deal. When I tried to put it through the Rapid Replace head, it did come out the other end fairly easy, but when I was starting to wind it in, it didn't wind correctly, and it was just winding one way. Tear the head apart and basically unwind it and then try to wind it back on again, and it did it the second time I tried it. But if you can't feed it on your speed feed head, it's really a useless line. The line does come in like a 0.65, a 0.80, and a 0.95, and I think all the way up to a 105. Now this is being exclusively sold at Royal King. I've never seen it anywhere else around where I live. Plus that too, I had a few issues where I was weed whacking and the line would break off inside the head, and I'd have to tear the head apart and pull more line out through the through the part of the eye that feeds out the line. I had to do that a few times. It binded really bad in my head. Yeah, it's really not good for a speed feed head. It might work differently in a T25 or a one of those Shakespeare heads or those like T35 Husqvarna heads, but in my Husqvarna Rapid Replace head, it didn't want to feed it right. I guess when I was running it, it was getting too hot and it was breaking off, and I had to constantly take the head apart to pull more line through the eye and stuff. Really crappy line. It does have sharp edges, but it doesn't really hold up very well to chain link fence or garden bricks or none of that. It was breaking off a lot. I had to bump it more often than not over, let's say my Oregon line or some of the titanium Husqvarna line I've used in the past. But this would be like the worst line on my list that I've used this year for string trimming is the Sten Edge line. Okay guys, the next worst line I've ever used out on the market is the Shakespeare Ballistic Twisted line. Now I bought a little donut of this stuff a couple years ago from Lowe's, and this stuff was not really good. I mean, trimmer head okay, it it fed out right. I didn't have any of those kind of issues with it, but what I did have a lot of issues with this twisted Shakespeare Ballistic Twist line was that every time I'd go around a fence, or if I went around a wooden fence or a chain link fence or just a garden brick, this stuff would break off like crazy. It didn't really give you a nice even cut. Some people like this stuff and they say it's commercial grade, but it's not one of my favorite lines. With that being said, like I said, a lot of the issues that I did have with this line was that it broke off really easy. It did send a lot of vibration inside the string trimmer I was using at the time. It just one of the worst lines I've ever used was this Shakespeare Ballistic Twist line. They do make other curved lines like the ugly line from Shakespeare. I don't have any experience with that one, but I'm just going to tell you this one right here is one of the worst lines I've ever used when it comes to nylon string trimmer line. Like I said, I didn't have any feeding issues in my rapid replace head with it. I didn't have any like where it would jam or break off or anything weird like that. But it does send a lot of vibration in your arm throughout the machine. It breaks off really easy, and I think they make like a 0.65 in there, a 0.65 line. They make a 0.80, which this one is here, all the way up to a 0.105. They also make a 0.95. I used it in the 0.95 because my string trimmer head is designed for 0.95 type of line, and not one of my favorite lines. This one is slightly better than the Sten line I showed you earlier. It holds up a little bit better than the Sten line. The Sten line is just garbage line. It sends a lot of vibration throughout your machine. It's a ridiculously bad line, guys. And I would kind of steer away from this stuff. But there is a Shakespeare line that I did use, and it was the rounded stuff, and that stuff was excellent. It didn't break off much. It fed in my weed trimmer heads really nice. It ejected really nice. But this stuff from Shakespeare is pretty lousy, and I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, the next line that I love and I think is one of the best Shakespeare lines out on the market, guys, is the Shakespeare Power Line 0.95. They make them in different diameters, 0.65, 0.80, all the way up to 1.5 diameters. But I had really good luck with this line. Try to stick with the 0.95 or 80 when it comes to your residential string trimmers, or even your your commercial grade string trimmers. I had I think a 200 foot spool of this stuff. It lasted me about a year. Fantastic line. It feeds nice into your heads, your rapid replace heads, or your echo speed feed heads. It just, every time you put it through the line through the hole and twist it in, it always twists in right. It comes off of the head really nice and even. It holds up against garden bricks. It holds up against chain link fence really well. I mean, it's a nylon line. I know a lot of people, will tell you one line's better than another, but this stuff I personally have used over the years, and I highly recommend it. And it comes at a good price of $7.99. So if you see this in a store, or you see this at like online stores or something like that, guys, get this stuff. It is superb line. Is it better than any of the other companies that I've used? Probably not, but for a good, cheap residential type of string trimmer line, the Shakespeare Power Line is one of my top favorite lines of all time. The store that used to sell it in my area went out of business, so I can't get it locally anymore, but you could order it online, or if you see this stuff in a store, it's a good buy, guys. Don't take it from me. Go out and buy it, and check it out yourselves. I always like a rounded line. This is a rounded line. It doesn't send too much vibration through the machine. It's quiet. It cuts even. It's a really good line for either commercial or residential lawn maintenancing. Okay, guys, another one of my top picks for some of the best string trimmer line out there, guys, is the Echo string trimmer line. Now this stuff, the Fire line or this Echo regular rounded line, is really good stuff, guys. I've used it before. It feeds into your speed feed heads really easy. It comes off really easy. Holds up to garden bricks fairly well. Their Fire line is really good as well. I think this is the rounded stuff. The Fire line has that little sharp edge to it, but that stuff I've used too, and it works really well. I think this stuff is a lot better. The rounded Echo line is a lot better than, let's say, the black diamond stuff. The black diamond, I've used the black diamond stuff for like 2 years. Not a fan of it, but you know, I could genuinely tell you guys this stuff is really good. It feeds onto your weed trimmer heads really nice, comes off easy. It doesn't get stuck in the spool or none of that crap like you did with the stent stuff that I talked about earlier. Really good line. It's about on par with the power line from Shakespeare. Really good stuff. Highly recommend this stuff. Holds up the garden bricks, chain link fence, wooden fences very well. Gives you a good, clean, even cut. No, it doesn't leave gouges in the ground when you're string trimming. Comes in various different sizes. I think 080, 095, all the way up to 015, 105. Good stuff. Love it. Recommend it. Don't take it from me. Go out and buy it, guys. Next up, guys, is the Echo Black Diamond line. Touted as being the best line that you could buy for commercial string trimming or residential string trimming. So they say. To be honest, I bought a 200-foot donut of this stuff a couple years ago. It doesn't really live up to the hype that people have promoted this stuff as being the best. It's a twisted type of line with like a really sharp edge on it, like a diamond shape. Now this stuff I really didn't like very well. I did a extensive testing on it. I have a video of the testing. It didn't really hold up well on chain link fencing. It broke off more than, let's say, the Shakespeare power line I reviewed, and it broke off a lot more than some of that Harbor Freight stuff that I've used. It's terrible line. I don't know why people are trying to promote this stuff as being the best line on the market. I've used it in my Echo speed feed heads, and I've used it in my rapid replace heads and my T25 heads, and I've always had this like recurring theme with this line. It breaks off really easy inside of the string trimmer heads, and I have to like pull my head apart to get it, you know, to refeed it again. It would jam in between the spool a lot and get stuck, and I would have to literally pull the line out and rethread it. Some of the worst line I've ever used out on the market was this black diamond stuff, and I would tell y'all just to steer away from it, and just my own opinion about it. If you have good luck with it, go ahead and put it in the comment section down below. But I had horrible luck with this stuff. I used it for 2 years. The only thing that it was really good at doing, if you had like maybe a thicker line, like a 0.105 line, is that it was great for open country type of, like, you know, open fields and stuff like that. But when for mowing it down, you know what I mean? But it sent a lot of vibration in the machine when I was using it. It was good at cutting like flat level grade stuff, you know, thick heavy weeds and stuff. It was okay at doing that, but it still broke off a lot cutting down thick brush. And it was just terrible around bricks, garden bricks. It was terrible around chain link fence and wooden fencing. It was just garbage. You know, yeah, I've seen a lot of people making videos of this stuff saying that it lasts longer. You don't have to bump the head. That's bull crap. I had to bump the head so much with this stuff that it would literally get hot on the spool after soaking it in water, and it would still jam and bind inside the head. So I try to tell people, if you can, steer away from these weird angled design type of string trimmer lines. They do get stuck inside your spool a lot, and it breaks off a lot. It's like one of my least favorite lines out on the market. But like I said, it's good if you're like in an open field, just mowing down grass in an open field, sorta. But it still broke off on bigger, thicker weeds more often than, say, my rounded Shakespeare power line and other lines I've used over the years. I mean, it just sends a lot of vibration through the machine, and it's just a terrible line in general. Okay, guys, now we're on the Husqvarna lines. Now, there's a bunch of different Husqvarna lines out there, guys. Different shapes, different types of lines. They got some with little metal wires in them. They got some that are just solid nylon string. This is their solid nylon string titanium line. This is their flagship line that, you know, most commercial guys use, and it is a good line to a point. Um, it does break off a lot more than, let's say, the. It doesn't really break off as much. I kind of have mixed feelings about this line. It's not terrible, but it's not the best line I've ever used for string trimmers. I think it's a step above the Black Diamond line, and it's not as good as the you know, the Echo rounded lines or the Echo fire lines, but it's kind of like in the middle with those two lines being good. It does kind of hold up good around garden bricks, fences. Being a rounded line, it is very quiet, doesn't send a lot of vibration in your arm or your machine. It does give you an even cut path when you're mowing open fields. It kind of holds up okay on chain link fences, garden bricks, and wooden fences. It's slightly better than the Black Diamond. It does break a lot though. I mean, you will have to bump your machine a lot. You bump your head a lot more with this stuff. Let's uh, than, let's say, the Black Diamond or the Stens. So, you know, if I had to give it a star rating, it would be about a generous 3.5 stars, maybe. But it is slightly better of a line than the Black Diamond crud. It just overall it's a good line, but for the price, it kind of kills you on the price, and you only get a 140-foot donut of this stuff. It does come in various sizes like 0.95 and probably 0.80 and probably 0.105 as well. It's a decent line. If this is what you can find, go ahead and get it. I kind of like have mixed feelings recommending it. You know, it's okay. Okay, guys, the next line that I'm going to show you guys is the heavy duty Weed Warrior pulverizer line that is exclusively sold at Walmart. Now, let me tell you guys, this is a sleeper line that I do highly recommend. I've used this stuff for years and years and years. I used the pulverizer version of this stuff, and I bought some of this stuff here recently. And let me tell you, the rounded line that's coming from Weed Warrior pulverizer line is some of the best stuff I've ever used. It's very reminiscent to the Shakespeare power line and the way it works. It feeds on your speed feed heads really nice. It doesn't break off as much. You can weed whack a lot more with it without having to bump the head. Holds up against garden bricks. Doesn't send a lot of vibration in your string trimmers, and it's very quiet. Very quiet stuff. It feeds on your speed feed heads really well. I used it on my rapid replace heads. I didn't have one issue feeding it into the head when I twisted it. Holds up against garden bricks really well. Probably, if I had to give this one a star rating, it would be like 5 stars all the way. Good stuff. Of course, you don't see a lot of these commercial lawn maintenance guys telling you this stuff is any good. It really is some superb line, guys. Holds up really nice. You don't have to bump your head as much. It makes it to where you can get a good, steady, even cut path. You know, it doesn't gouge the ground that bad. It's just really good stuff. This is a 0.95 line. It does come in a 0.65, a 0.80, and all the way up to a 0.105. I've used this stuff, and I've had really good experiences with it. I think it's a really good line for the price. I think it's like $7 for a, I don't know, 100-foot spool of this stuff. So you can buy 2 of these spools for the price of one steel spool or echo spool or something like that. So don't take it from me. Go out and buy it. It's at your local Walmart. Great stuff. Very underestimated line company. If you've never used it, you should go out and buy it. I buy this stuff all the time when I run out and I need something and all the other stores are closed. I get this at Walmart. It's great stuff, guys. Good nylon line. Okay, guys, My final pick for the best string trimmer line is the Oregon Gator line. They also come in a Pro line. Either one of those two rounded lines are the best, the very best string trimmer lines on the planet, guys. They do have other like weird angled design lines from Oregon, but I always seem to come back to these rounded lines over those weird angled lines. I did try some of the Gator line that had a wire in it and was square. It actually ruined one of my T25 heads, so I stopped using it because it just chewed up the spool really bad to where I couldn't use it anymore. So I keep coming back to this Oregon Gator line from Oregon. It's rounded. Always will. First and foremost, I'll always recommend you guys to get a rounded line. It just holds up really well to chain link fences, garden bricks, wooden fences, cuts down thick weeds with ease without having to bump the head as much. This stuff actually does that. It meets a lot of criterias, I think, for a good commercial or residential type of string trimmer line. It comes in various sizes like 065, 095, all the way up to 0105, which is for thicker brush. It cuts really even. If you're cutting an open field, you don't have to bump the head as much with this stuff as you do with the other ones that I reviewed already, or even just showed. To me, this Oregon Gator line is the best line on the planet, guys. And for 14 bucks, you get a massive 413 foot spool of this stuff. I would stick with the 095 line. That's really the best, middle of the road type of line for just residential, or even commercial lawn maintenancing. I tend to stay away from the 105s because they chew up your spool unless you have a really big machine that can handle 105. If not, and you're just using a residential or middle of the road kind of commercial model of string trimmer, the 095 line from Oregon is the very best, guys. Don't take it from me, and get this stuff and try it. They sell this stuff pretty much in any Husqvarna power equipment dealership. I find this stuff at my locally all the time, so I usually buy it every once in a while. I had some about 3 years ago. I finally used all the rest of the Oregon Gator line or Pro line that I bought last, and it's gone. But to me, this is the best stuff on the planet, guys, over all the other ones that we reviewed here in this video today. And on that note, I'm going to end this video, guys. If you like this video, please hit the like, share, and subscribe, and tell me what you think of the video. And y'all take it easy. It's been your old pal Hondo from Hillbilly Tactical. Peace out, everybody.